This week, I'm asking you to take a look at a poem called Boy Breaking Glass by Gwendolyn Brooks. And I'm also asking you to take a look at an essay called Poetry is Not a Luxury by Audre Lorde. And we read one of Audre Lorde's poems last week called Power. In this piece, which is not a poem, she's going to talk about poetry more generally. This is a little bit of a difficult essay, so I wanted to make this video as a way to help you get started unpacking it. And much in the same way that we would begin to unpack a poem, when we look at any piece of literature, in this case a literary essay, we're going to start with the title. So the title of the essay is called Poetry is Not a Luxury. We're announced in the title, it's announced what the topic is going to be. So poetry is, of course, the topic of the essay. But I want to hone in on that word luxury there. When we think about the concept of luxury, we think about things like diamonds or furs or extravagant things, fancy cars, right? A luxury is something that is considered non-essential or non-necessary. And Lorde is flipping that on its head. She's saying that poetry is in fact essential. It is necessary to the way in which we live our lives. And the rest of the essay is going to unpack what she means by that. Now, before we move forward, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and read the first paragraph to yourself before resuming. Hopefully you've taken a moment to read the first paragraph to yourself. And I want to just break down some of the images, unpack some of the images that Lorde is using here. In the first line, she writes, "The quality of light by which we scrutinize our lives has direct bearing upon the product which we live, and upon the changes that we hope to bring about through those lives." So essentially what she's saying here is that not all light is the same. And the lens or the light that we use to view our lives, to understand our lives, has a direct impact on how we live those lives. The word product here is connected to the word lives. Our lives are the product that we create. So not only does the light that we use to look at our lives impact our lives, it also impacts any kind of change that we want to bring about through our lives. If we continue on, Lorde writes, "It is within this light that we form those ideas by which we pursue our magic and make it realized. This is poetry as illumination, for it is through poetry that we give name to those ideas which are, until the poem, nameless and formless, about to be birthed." I'll pause there. By the line that says, "This is poetry as illumination," is telling us that the light that Lorde references in the first line, the thing that we use to understand and look at our lives, is poetry. That poetry is the thing that helps us understand who we are and also what potential we have. A poem is a thing that births, it creates, right? So what are some things that it creates according to the essay? It creates ideas. It creates magic. It creates concepts, feelings that are just inside of us but have been yet to be put outside, yet to be put out into the world. And for Lorde, she's saying that this is not something that's extra to life. Having access to this is something that is essential for life. So as you read the rest of the essay, I'd like you to try to unpack some of the language that Lorde is using and take a look at the discussion board post assigned this week so that you have an understanding of what I'm asking you to do with this text.